for a good blast here at your side.
Welcome to Hokey Religion, the Star Wars podcast. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
And we're back.
We're back, even though it's like nothing ever happened to you people.
Yeah, it's been about a month for us since we recorded.
A month.
Right?
2 weeks. Oh, wait, 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah. It's been a month since we recorded because we pre-recorded the last episode because I was out of the country.
For a month? Really?
I wasn't out of the country for a month.
Oh. Well, then why did we wait a month?
Because we had to record them, and then I was gone.
Oh.
And we had to release them while I was gone.
Everybody knows as soon as you listen to it, it's just us doing it live.
Yes,
right?
In your ears, live for your ears. Just sit in our box and wait for you to turn it on. And we're like, oh, green light, go.
Look at the Star Wars, the Hokey Religion.
The only problem with that is only one person can listen at a time. It's a real problem.
Somehow we're able to do different shows each time. That's the thing. It's a different show each time.
That's probably good. That's probably the only reason anyone listens. Just release the same episode. Just like record like 15 and just loop them when we get back around. After 15, just start back around at the first one.
Yeah. Nobody ever listens to the old episodes, so you never catch on.
Why are they talking about Force Awakens being announced? It's really weird. How much did they drink this time?
It's nostalgia. That's nostalgia, right? Just repeating old things for no reason. Anyway, we have stuff to talk about.
Thanks for the energy. We do have
stuff to talk about.
It's amazing when you wait about a month to record how there's actual news in between.
2 things
episodes.
happened.
I read all of Life Debt.
Yay,
while
I didn't.
On the trip. You refused to ever read any of Life Debt.
I read something. I remember putting...
Synopsis?
Yeah, that's right. I sat down
Amazon
with my
page.
Kindle and read 2 pages of Aftermath.
The first one?
Yeah. That was, I think, a couple days after we recorded the last time. And then didn't read anymore.
I mean, Ahsoka's out now. Are you going to read that?
I don't know. Maybe. There's some stuff about kyber crystals, apparently, that was revealed in that novel. That sounds interesting.
She has to make herself some new sabers.
Those white sabers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do we want to talk about that, or we could just reference it? And
Oh, we could just get into our new segment.
what's our new segment?
What that tweet?
What that tweet?
What that tweet, what did I tweet, what that tweet, what did I tweet, and what is that tweet?
So anyway, what that tweet?
So people on the tweets, again, what that tweet is pretty much just for Pablo tweets because he has the authority on tweets.
So what that tweet?
So someone was asking in the new Ahsoka book, they explain color crystals and that if kyber crystals don't work for dark side users, so they corrupt them. And Pablo said they totally work. A lightsaber is a lightsaber.
Wait,
It'll
what?
work
Say
for
that again?
anyone. And so the person
Think
was
you
like, so it's the finding of the crystal or color and the building of the saber that matters for force alignment.
Right.
And he said it factors into the construction of a saber, but not the use. So, I mean, anyone can make a lightsaber. You know, a lightsaber's a lightsaber. A crystal's a crystal. It'll work as a lightsaber.
Right.
But so the person was like, okay, so sorry for the questions. Does that mean the Death Star construction is unique and that the green color is innate? Does it matter? And he said, doesn't really matter. But given that crystals are clear in their natural state, whatever it takes to weaponize them causes it. So the person said, are synthetic crystals not canon anymore? I thought it was film canon that Luke made his. Also, why didn't Anakin's turn red? And he said, lightsabers don't change color because of who uses them. They're not mood rings. So it says, so the person's like, okay, well, in the novel, it says when a crystal is used by a darksider, it bleeds and thus turns red. He said, no, if a darksider bonds with the crystal, that's a different matter.
Right.
And then he goes on, he said, pretty much check out season 5 of Clone Wars for more, which is that episode where they
find
crystals.
That group of younglings. Yeah, so basically a dark side user can force themselves on a crystal, basically, right? I mean, it's not consensual. So they force themselves on a crystal and bend it to their will, and then well, I don't know. Is it being around the dark side energy that turns it red?
Well, he also has somebody else was asking about it, and he says a Jedi finds a crystal through the gathering, which creates a bond. A Darksider doesn't. A Darksider imposes will on a crystal.
Right.
He said, a Darksider creates a different bond. A bonded crystal can then be used to build a lightsaber. It doesn't change color.
Yeah, so it's it's like the forcing the crystal to their will, like using the dark side energy on it is what changes its color.
Changes its color.
It kind of, it's like their soul bleeding through the crystal almost.
Kind of. And then the acceptance or the gathering of a crystal from a Jedi is what imbues it with a color from their power. Or their,
again, maybe it's like their
kind of
light side aura
like
or
alignment.
something.
Yeah, like depending on your strength in the Force, your type of Force use,
Right.
or whatever your like skill is or whatever.
Right.
So I'm wondering, and again, neither of us have read Ahsoka since it's come out because time is not friendly. I'm assuming hers are white because she doesn't necessarily have an alignment. She was just making lightsabers. She knew how to make a lightsaber
Right.
and how to find a crystal, but she didn't really have any alignment to force upon it.
Right.
So
That's
I thought
what it
that was
seems like.
interesting.
So what that tweet? That was that tweet.
That was that tweet.
So there's one other thing that I want to mention before we get into Rogue One stuff.
Okay.
There's a story that Making Star Wars released about Joss Whedon
Yes.
saying that he has now changed his mind and is on board with, or at least is willing to consider doing a standalone Star Wars movie.
Interesting.
And that idea sounds incredible.
It could be. So, I mean, we were discussing this a little bit before. I think he had some rough goings with Disney with making Avengers and Age of Ultron. With working with that was his first like massive studio
Yes.
production, and I don't think he liked the way it was handled and how he didn't get the final say in his own film, because the people with all of the money can just say, okay, don't do that or change this. We don't like this. And you kind of have to go along with it.
Was a lot of stuff changed for that movie?
I think there was some stuff that he really wanted or he had shot and they were like, no.
Huh.
I think there was a few things, and
That's
I know
interesting
there were
because
some
they-
things of him talking about it, saying, it just kind of wasn't his thing.
Age of Ultron specifically.
Age of Ultron, I think specifically, he had some trouble with where he wanted the story to go.
And I think Avengers, the first one, it just wore him out. Because I think he made the movie that he wanted to make with the first Avengers,
Yeah.
but it was just so crazy.
Yes.
Doing it,
And then with Age of Ultron,
you know?
I think he made what he could with the stipulations that were put on him.
Which is interesting because I don't think that's not common for Marvel to do that.
No, but at the same time,
With
I
their
think, like, there was
directors for their
stuff that
big
he wanted
movies.
to do, but I think because they have this whole cinematic universe and wanting to make more films,
Yes.
like, hey, you can't do that because we don't want that idea to be there for something else we're planning to do eventually,
Right.
or to have any effect on other stuff. So even though it was a really cool idea, he just couldn't do it because
Right.
Wasn't
there another
world to worry about
Wasn't there another director that ran into that kind of stuff too?
with?
I wanted to say Deadpool, but that's not right.
No, I doubt that.
Something
I mean, obviously
something
they couldn't use any other properties for Deadpool.
something along those lines where they wanted to do something in the movie and it didn't. Maybe I am thinking of Joss Whedon, but I thought maybe there was another instance of that. That doesn't sound familiar.
No.
Where a
I don't
director
even think.
wanted to do something that kind of strayed from the formula, so to speak, and it didn't work out, or they turned it down or something like that.
I don't remember that.
Maybe I am thinking of Joss Whedon. I don't know.
I don't know. Could be. But so it sounds like Joss doesn't want to do any sort of episode of Star Wars, but maybe one of the one-offs like Rogue One or an anthology film or whatever, Star Wars stories.
Well, yeah, he
That's what they're
couldn't.
calling them now,
He
right?
couldn't do a main tentpole movie. I don't think, even if he wanted to.
Yeah, maybe not. It would need to be something else, something because of his tone. It would need to be a one-off like Rogue One,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Well, yeah, that's what he says in the quote here. Is that at first he didn't want to do it, and he was kind of cursing himself, like, "Well, why don't I want to do it? Because it's Star Wars,
Yeah, and then he
But then
the
he
Rogue
saw,
One
the
trailer.
Rogue One trailer and was like, "Oh crap, I could do that. Now I want to do that."
because it's a story contained in and of itself without having to worry about the before.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you have where it's going, so he doesn't have to worry about as long as it matches up with where it's going.
Well, yeah, you
With Rogue
can't
One,
go
but-
crazy, but
Yeah,
it has
but
to
not
be
having to worry about, okay, we have to do another one, so I can't put this in there, and then we
Right.
have to worry about this down the line.
And that's one of the big points with these standalone movies is it's a way for a director to kind of let his style shine through in a way that normally wouldn't in a main,
And to
tentpole
be
Star
able to
Wars
have,
movie.
Hopefully, because Rogue One hasn't come out yet, to hopefully have different styles of Star Wars films.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Yeah,
don't expect there
something
to be a
that's-
rom-com or anything like that, but
Right, something that strays from the typical tentpole Star Wars
like they
movie.
keep pushing
kind of
Rogue
thing.
One as an actual like war film, like a
Yeah.
Band of Brothers type thing.
Yeah, which we don't have.
Yes,
know?
and hopefully it comes across that way. We'll have to see when it eventually comes out
Right.
if they're like it just falls right back into the Star Wars rut because it makes money. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah, I'm
also I have a fresh
it's not too
off the
bad.
press what that tweet.
What that tweet?
So Michael and I were arguing about garbage.
I forgot about this.
Yes. So in A New Hope.
Well, wait. It's what that. So link it back. It's what that tweet because.
I tweeted Pablo before we started, and he tweeted me back just now.
Really?
Yes.
Oh no.
It is a fresh what that tweet from Pablo. So
You're smiling, so you're probably right.
well, we'll see. So I'm just happy that he tweeted me back while we were recording, so that we can do this while recording. So
It's exclusive.
it's
It's
exclusive.
a Hokey Ridge exclusive. Although
So-
everyone will be able to read this before this episode comes out.
Yeah,
so
just go on our Twitter and look for Pablo replying to us about anything. So in
so special for us.
in A New Hope,
So special.
this started because so
Yeah, that's what
Disney-
I was trying to link it back
Disney's
to. Yeah.
releasing new products, new toys and things like that.
One of the products is a Bluetooth
yes.
comlink,
A
which
Bluetooth
we're
Imperial
both
comlink.
excited about. Yeah,
which is awesome. Apparently, it's like $60,
I would pay that.
depending on
I
how
think
good the
that's-
speaker is. Yeah, so it's a Bluetooth comlink. You can talk to people on the phone with it and
Yeah.
also play music out of it. And it's the same comlink that Luke uses to communicate.
It's the standard issue Stormtrooper comlink
Yes,
that they
so
have
he
on
has
their
one
belts.
when they're in the garbage compactor.
Trash
and-
compactor.
Sure. And C-3PO has one wherever they are bumbling about, and
Yeah, in that
Luke's
control
yelling
room or
at
whatever.
him through the garbage to shut down all the. My entire childhood, I always heard garbage smashers with an S at the beginning. Garbage
And
smashers.
the line we're talking about is
Shut down all the garbage smashers, on the detention level. To me, my entire
You say-
childhood and life, I have assumed he was saying smashers.
and when my entire childhood, I have always heard mashers, no S.
No S.
Mashers.
Mashers.
Shut down all the garbage mashers on the detention level, will ya?
So he says it
Shut
3
down all the
times,
garbage
yeah.
mashers on the detention level. And then it cuts to 3PO and it's him screaming through the
Shut up,
comlink.
will you listen to me?
Shut down all the garbage mashers on the detention level.
So he says garbage whatever 3 times.
Yeah.
I hear garbage smashers, garbage smashers, garbage mashers. I do hear mashers on the last one, but the first two
And we agree on the last one.
we agree the last one sounds like mashers. You think the first two sound like mashers?
I think
I've
the
always
first
heard
two are
smashers.
mashers. Yes.
I've always heard smashers.
So apparently,
We were arguing about this over
For a while.
texting for a while because our childhoods were in flux and our universe was crumbling around us.
let me go back just a minute. It started because you said something about smashers that wasn't the line. That you just referenced smashers.
I was like, yeah, when I get this, I'll have to start yelling at people about smashers. And you're like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? And then you were like, smashers from that movie that we both like.
And you're still like, wait, what?
What?
Garbage smashers.
And
know,
then
the
you
detention
quoted the
level.
line, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. And so I thought about it for a minute, and I realized, wait a second, my whole life I've heard mashers, not smashers.
Yeah.
So
in my
yeah.
whole life, I heard
So then the
smashers.
argument
Yeah.
proceeded.
I had my wife listen to it, who's only ever seen A New Hope once in her entire life.
She heard
and She heard
Smashers.
Smashers.
I had my wife listen to it. She heard mashers. So
And neither of our wives really cared about Star Wars
biased.
at all. And
They're
so they
biased.
just heard.
they heard what we wanted them to
So
hear.
I tweeted Pablo earlier and asked him if he would mind settling a friendly argument if Luke says mashers or smashers.
And
I was
the
tweeted
result
a screen
from-
capture of them in the garbage thing with the subtitles on. So it's a screenshot from the film with them in the garbage compactor with the subtitles on, and it says "Shut down all the garbage mashers on the detention level." Will ya?
oh yes,
I'll
We almost,
just check our Twitter and you'll see it. But Pablo took a screen cap of the film with the subtitles on, and it's apparently mashers.
all 3 times
So what I'm gonna have to do, he only took a screenshot of one.
is go. You're gonna have to go back and listen to all
Smashers.
3.
So I will have to play the film and make sure all 3 times the subtitles say Mashers all 3 times. But Pablo apparently agrees.
How
that it is
quickly was
Mashers.
he? Does he just have these movies on his phone so he can just do this?
He has every screenshot, every frame saved.
Well, Pablo,
ready
if
to
you
go.
ever hear this, we love you and thank you for settling
Yes,
something
thank
that
you. His reply was less than 30 minutes.
We were
He's
both-
better than a pizza place.
that's true.
Yeah.
It's free. Oh no, that's after 30 minutes. We have to
Yeah,
pay.
if his treat was longer, it would have been free, but now I've got to send him like a check or something. It's
Okay.
a whole complicated thing. So apparently my childhood is ruined. My life is over. It's garbage Mashers.
Did we talk
And
about a bet this time?
looking
Usually
at-
we talk about a bet.
You almost. I asked you if you wanted to bet on it, and you said I want to, but I feel like that would be a bad idea because you weren't sure.
Because
He's
Only
he's
because
like
I'm
yelling
usually
and
wrong.
slurring, and you can't tell.
no, I knew what he said.
Smashers.
That's why I was arguing. I knew what he said. I just wasn't sure because I always lose these bets.
You've never won
No.
a podcast bet. You
Dang
would
it,
have
the one
but you
chance
always
that I
backed
had.
off.
Ah,
Yep.
this is not good.
The last one you backed out of, you would have lost. This one you backed out of, you would have won. So you
It's
should
not good.
get better at reading those. So that was many a what that tweet this time. So Rogue One trailer happened since our last episode,
Yes,
and it was awesome.
it was very cool.
It was really, really good. I'm assuming, based off of the stuff we saw with little Jen, child Jen, I'm guessing a lot of that stuff is maybe what they would have shown at Comic-Con or
Yeah, I don't
not
know.
Comic-Con. That was at Celebration. but they
Celebration,
cut it
yeah.
off. I'm guessing pieces of
I don't
that
know.
were something they saw at Celebration that they didn't show to us because we never saw anything with her as a child, even though the reports of that trailer were her as a child.
There was mention of seeing Vader in the Celebration trailer, right?
Yes, but we saw him in the last trailer.
So I wonder if it was just an unfinished version of that one.
Maybe.
the
And this
final
was
trailer.
supposedly the final trailer
Yeah,
before the film comes out.
makes sense. This is
and-
the one that's going to air probably in movie theaters,
Yeah, most likely.
or screen, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess before Doctor Strange, maybe.
Probably because that comes out in November, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that would be my guess. I can't think of anything else it would be tied to.
Any other big movies?
And then the movie comes out in December, which is super close, less than 2
Getting
months.
up there. December 16th, right?
Yeah.
That's 2 months.
So I mean, just some things of note was like
In the
Jen
trailer.
seemed to be in Imperial custody. She's in Imperial custody before being broken out by the
She
rebels.
is in Imperial custody.
So she was broken out by the rebels in order for them to get to her dad, who's
Yeah,
making this weapon.
Which is something we were kind of speculating about a couple
how they got
episodes
her,
ago.
where they found
Yeah,
her.
why they wanted her specifically. Why was she in rebel custody?
Yes.
So now we know
Again,
for sure.
something we talked about before. How do rebels have custody? They're just
rebels.
yeah,
Well, it sort of makes sense now. I mean, she's an imperial criminal that was locked up.
yeah. They
So
rescued
they
her to get
rescued
something
her.
done.
Right.
Um,
And it specifically, and that kind of relates to another point I had a little further down, which was, it seems like the mission that is attached to the Rogue One call sign, is finding Galen. Like that's the
Yes.
mission. So my thought was, is finding the plans was that like an unexpected surprise? Or does the plan change eventually when they find out there are plans?
maybe they're supposed to go get him and the plans, or him because he has the plans.
Maybe.
Um,
I thought
Probably
they,
to get him to stop him from building the weapon,
that's what I'm thinking.
so that
yeah.
they couldn't continue building the weapon, but
Right.
also maybe get the plans. But I'm assuming he doesn't make it.
No, I doubt he.
I doubt Galen can make it, so their consolation prize is getting the plans. Because
Well, we
maybe
know
it's already
somebody
finished.
doesn't make it.
Well,
when he dead.
when he dead, whether that be Galen or someone else,
Oh boy.
never lived that down.
When this guy dead.
Yeah. So, and then there was one shot with Mads sopping wet on an Imperial deck, like on the floor.
So wet.
So wet.
Dripping wet.
So, I mean, obviously,
I gross myself out.
yeah, ugh, I'm disgusting. I'm sorry. Obviously, there could be any reasons for him being wet, and that's super speculation to think maybe was he in the cryo or the Bacta tank or whatever that is. That was
Yeah, I
being
said
protected.
cryo/Bacta because I don't know if he was frozen or
Maybe they were trying to keep him alive to finish building the weapon because of something
they
that
just
happened.
freeze him and unfreeze him whenever
Yeah.
they need him.
All right, we got something this week. Wake up. Yeah.
They just unfreeze his hands so he can
It's just so he can
fiddle with
work.
something and then freeze him
His
back
like
up.
eyes are frozen. He's like,
They've got one of those big, like a plunger. They just plunge his hands back up to his chest and then they freeze him.
so it's horrible. The best thing about this trailer was multiple shots of Vader.
Yes.
Uh,
That
pissed-
costume looks.
pissed off Vader.
Oh, yeah. Just
Super
by
angry.
his stride.
Well, yes.
You could see it in his face.
You could see it in his ridges.
His slopey head.
He was like, I almost said prancing. That's not the word. I don't think Vader ever prances.
Dancing. Fencing?
Vader was like stomping towards Krennic.
Oh.
And like, yeah, I imagine that sound was coming out of some mechanical box somewhere. So it appears that Vader and Krennic do not have the level of a relationship that Vader and Tarkin do at all. Because
Not if he's stomping around.
super angry. But just the fact that Krennic is yelling to him.
Stop that shit. Stop it. Pull it off that shit. Stop it.
Thanks. The fact that he was yelling at Vader about ultimate power and things like that,
Yeah.
which if you remember the last
Tarkin.
person or the next person, I guess it's in the future, in A New Hope, the person yelling about ultimate power to Vader got
Right.
choked and he dead. So
That got dead.
we'll see if Krennic makes it out of this at all either.
I mean, well, Tarkin. No, wait, what am I thinking about?
I don't know what you're thinking about.
Tarkin says something about ultimate power in the universe, and so does the other dude. Doesn't Tarkin say that too?
Not to Vader.
Towards the end, right? Of A New Hope?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh, why can't I remember?
We don't. This is the podcast where we don't remember.
Oh,
anything.
that's right. I keep forgetting it's a podcast that we don't remember.
Yeah. This is when our brains
it?
shut off and we just
Get it? You see
stare
what I did
and speak.
there? Talking about forgetting that we don't remember.
So yeah, Vader looks super pissed at Krennic. Krennic doesn't really look happy to be working with Vader either. There seems to
Maybe.
be like a power struggle. Not really much of a struggle because Vader would just.
If he's a director,
Krennic
then
like a
yeah,
grape.
there's got to be some kind of some fight.
But I assume Krennic's not going to make it out of this because Tarkin's kind of in charge of everything by A New Hope.
Yeah,
At least of the Death Star, he's in charge of, but eventually he's kind of in charge of the whole. I mean, obviously there's fleet admirals and stuff like that, but Tarkin really seems to be the one in charge. There doesn't really seem to
of
be
the
a director,
Death Star stuff. Yeah,
unless I mean, I guess Krennic could survive and just have been the director of the army.
I doubt he
then
survives.
on,
Do
but
you really think he survives?
I doubt he survives. He's too emotionally involved with Mads, with Galen, and all of that.
To survive,
Yeah, I think so.
right?
Because everything that's going to go wrong is because of his emotional involvement and past involvement with Galen.
Probably. Yeah.
That's going to get the best of him. And, of course, both Vader and Tarkin have zero emotions for anything, and that's not really tolerated, I don't think. So if Vader doesn't take out Krennic, I would be very surprised.
Yeah.
What else? Jeddah looked really cool.
Yeah. There's a shot where they're going. I assume it's Jeddah because it's all sandy, but there are these ruins buried in the sand that look like old. What I assumed were Jedi Knights, old Jedi, or some kind of ancient,
Like
someone
Jedi-
using a lightsaber.
Like
'Cause they're-
people?
Yeah. You remember that? It was in the very, very beginning. So they're
Oh,
like
yeah.
half buried in the sand and they're holding something that looks like a lightsaber and they've
Yeah.
got a cloak on. So, I mean, if you remember back, I think it was Gareth, maybe somebody else was talking about the importance of Jeddah.
It was like a force. It was almost like a planet people would go to on like a force pilgrimage or something like that.
Yeah, right. And we were thinking originally that was where maybe the Empire wants it because kyber crystals exist there. So
Could be.
this having these ruins, if those are Jedi, then that makes even more sense that Jeddah is I mean, the planet sounds like Jedi, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and there
So-
seem to be like the people that are walking around seem to be very acolyte-esque. You know,
Yeah,
with
like-
various hoods
people
and
on
robes
pilgrimage.
and
Pilgrimages,
yeah, various hoods and robes and things like that.
pilgrims, if you will.
Pilgrimagers,
I almost said that.
pilgrimages.
I almost said pilgrimagers.
But yeah, it was a super awesome trailer, and it made me even more excited for it. Every
Yeah.
time I think, I'm like, I don't know if it'll be good. Then the trailer comes out, I'm like, it's really awesome. Yay!
Ah!
So I'm really excited for it now. It definitely feels like a Star Wars movie
Yeah,
after seeing that last trailer.
right.
Because some of the other trailers were a little more character focused, I think.
You think so?
Or it was just like showing the various characters and like the talking between multiple characters, but not a lot of overall
Right.
like, hey, there's like the whole war is actually happening. And I think seeing a little more of that and seeing Vader stomping around and all
Yeah.
that really feels like Star Wars. So definitely excited on it.
Leave my Death Star alone.
Um,
Leave it.
Leave it alone! Leave it alone!
That's what he says. That's a direct quote.
from Vader.
It's exclusive. Hokey Religion exclusive. That's a Vader.
That's what the original the guy that played Vader before there was a voiceover. him.
David Prowse.
Prowse. That's what Prowse sounded like before they put James Earl Jones over him. If you've ever heard the readings of Prowse as Vader, it's not far off. whiny British man.
When I was you, I was a learner, but now I'm the master!
Did he turn into Lemongrab? Is Lemongrab Vader now?
I'm the master!
Yes. That's so there needs to be an Adventure Time Star Wars mashup, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Still speaking on Rogue One, Mads was talking about his character and the fact that he worked with 3 different Jins. There was a one of age 4, one of 8, and then Felicity. So there's a big jump in the timeline with the flashbacks we get. And then he said he spent a lot of his time on the film shooting with Ben Mendelsohn, who is Krennic. So we're probably going to get a lot of, or I expect if all of his shooting was either with Jin as a child or Jin at her current age or with Mendelsohn, hopefully there's a lot of the relationship between Krennic and Mads played out.
Yeah. Right.
Which again is that emotional thing I
Right.
mentioned before of them having known each other forever. And apparently we're going to get some more backstory in Catalyst when that comes out in November before
Yeah.
the film.
Yeah. Pablo kind of confirmed on Twitter that book is really going to go into detail about certain characters, quote unquote, which is probably
Well, we already know from the synopsis that
Yeah, it's going to be Galen and
his family knew Krennic, and
Krennic. Yeah.
and we're assuming. I mean, we don't know what happens, but we're assuming that the only reason Galen's probably still alive is because Krennic kept him alive to help with the weapon as a means of keeping him alive, maybe
Possibly.
as his
yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
And then there wasn't.
Yeah, that's what
really-
we don't know. Does it start out as a genuine friendship and then turn into that, or was it always that?
Yeah,
you
and
know?
the actress that's supposedly playing Jen's mom, Galen's wife, wasn't much mention of her. I doubt she does it. She makes it much.
So she probably dies,
She probably dies
or is
fairly early
dead
on.
already.
She may be dead, and
Probably just a few shots of her,
Yeah.
like when she was 4, when
She may
Jen
even
was
die in
4.
Catalyst with whatever happens in that.
Well, you said it. She's in the movie, right?
There's
Is that what you're saying?
supposedly an actress, yeah, but
Okay.
as far as him shooting with people, he only mentioned Jin and Ben Mendelsohn. So the fact that the wife would have been around probably didn't have much shooting to do with her.
Right.
She's not a main character. She's probably dead.
She dead.
He dead. She dead. They all dead.
Everybody dead.
Yep.
Everybody.
So I don't expect.
Wait,
I know we said this with. Michael's chair is still squeaking, guys. Please send your condolence.
Basically, the only reason
cards.
we have the Patreon. at this
The only
point.
reason we have a Patreon is to get Michael a new chair.
So you don't hear
Patreon.com/Hokey Religion.
Hokey _religion.
Nope.
No.
Yep.
Hokey Religion,
Yep. That's our name.
the Star Wars podcast.
Our podcast isn't Hokey _religion. Should we just change it to that?
Probably.
It's that guy.
If we get that damn guy to respond.
He won't befriend anyone.
I
that
requested
I've
him
had.
from my personal account, and
I've had other people do it, and he won't accept their friendships either.
he's abandoned Twitter. That's the only explanation. He only has 13 followers, right?
I think so.
I've memorized the number at this point.
You just stare at it.
He
every
follows either 6 or 9 people.
You get to work, you get your coffee, you sit down and just look at his Twitter page and say, "This is the day, you bastard."
And then I just sit there for 8 hours. And then, and then I
Michael,
go home.
you're gonna do any work? Shh. Soon.
Not soon.
So yeah, everyone hit that guy up and get him to give us his Twitter handle.
Everyone hit that guy. Hit that guy. Smack him upside his guy head.
Hit him way up and get the Twitter handle to us. Thank you. So there's actually been some episode 8 speakings, some leakage,
Uh-oh.
if you will, some seepage,
We got some seepage.
some episode 8, some episodic seepage.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I see mentions about Finn.
various-
Finn's in this movie. Uh-oh.
Spoiler alert.
Uh-oh.
So there's the rumors from the sources that always have quotes around sources. It's the people that supposedly spoke to the people that have people that know the people that once had a person that are saying things about episode 8. So specifically with Finn, of course, if we all remember,
What?
At
I'm
the
kinda
end
reading
of The
ahead
Force
here.
Awakens, Finn has a major injury where he got sliced in the back by Kylo Ren. So last we saw him, he was getting a goodbye kiss from Rey and was still out of it.
Oh, Smoochy.
So apparently,
I'm reading ahead a little bit. This is a little weird.
apparently, supposedly, Finn is placed in a bubble suit, and apparently, it's on good authority. It's called a Bacta suit, and apparently, it just looks like a puffer, like like a
Bacta.
puffer vest, like they have those just the ridges. and
Yeah,
the
the Marty
lines.
McFly vest.
Apparently, it's just like a jacket, like a puffer jacket, is what it kind of looks like.
That's weird.
Yeah. It's basically a Bacta suit to heal his injuries. So it's like a portable.
Finn's like a
it's
bubble boy?
Portable Bacta tank. It's just a Bacta jacket. I wonder if he unzips it. If it just starts pouring out, you gotta keep it real tight. Springs a leak on a side. There's a whole sequence where he's got to hold his finger in a hole on the side of it and then run around with
Sure.
just one hand. Yeah. So apparently there's a sequence where where the jacket or suit is cut or removed from him and he's, in better condition than ever before. Hopefully he's not in Wolverine better condition. Suddenly takes off this big puffer vest and he's just super ripped with his muscles, having muscles like Wolverine.
Can veins translate over a podcast?
I think
Does that translate?
that was either veins or a painful dump. Something happened.
Well, both can happen. All things are
That's
possible.
what a hemorrhoid is.
All things are possible, Tyler.
And then apparently after getting out of his suit, Finn embarks on a journey that is sure to make him a big deal in the Resistance.
I get it from the first
He's a
one.
big deal.
Oh boy.
Apparently on whatever his journey is with the new character that's played by Kelly Marie Tran. Apparently they spend supposedly from the rumors, they spend a lot of time together.
Getting saucy in space.
In space.
Saucy in space.
Sure. Sure.
Saucy.
Yep. So more
Sequence.
more rumblings of
More
episode
shots?
8. What?
Sequences in a movie?
Yes.
What?
There's more sequences.
What? Uh-oh.
That's what you get for.
My thing came off.
Oh,
Oh, my thing broke.
I didn't see that part. You should put that in some ice. Just drop it in. Just drop it in your beer. It'll be fine. Just throw it in your beer.
What, my thing?
Yep.
Oh.
The beer's cold enough. Just throw it in there.
Uh-oh.
Just drink around it.
Oh, that feels good.
Just drink around your thing.
Oh, I do this.
You can still feel Anyways, there's supposedly not the squeaky chair. Thanks.
Okay.
Michael is breaking
better.
things more than ever this episode.
Woohoo. Welcome back.
So supposedly in episode 8, there's a sequence that takes place in space.
Mm.
More on that after the break. That was the break. And apparently there's a boarding party. Either the First Order is boarding a resistance ship or vice versa. It's not clear. Someone's boarding somebody. And
there are shoes involved.
given the fact that there were overshoes involved on set by the people working on the set, that's usually overshoes are usually only required on the black smudge-free floors of the bad guy ships, such as First Order, things like that.
Gotcha.
So there's supposedly a resistance ship boarding a First Order ship, and apparently there's some kind of battle on the ship, but
Sure.
Finn has some kind of like super thermal detonator. It's like a bigger bomb with him. But
Okay.
so apparently for the props on that sequence that was shot, there was a medallion. Kelly Marie Tran supposedly is the thought of who's wearing some kind of medal for whatever reason. There's two groups, one called the Grizzlies and one called the Sugar Cubes. The assumption is Sugar Cubes are stormtroopers and the Grizzlies are the Resistance. And it was the code name for the place that was shot. It was called 100 Acre Wood, which of course is from Pooh Bear.
Okay.
So apparently
This
it's
is
in a
all
hangar.
making sense.
Apparently it's in a hangar. There's Grizzly.
This is
The
really
Grizzlies weaponry, somebody with a medallion, handcuffs, axes, and mace, which I thought was interesting.
yeah, it's all coming together now.
Yeah,
It's a
and
great idea. Sharing
various
this.
Grizzly associated paraphernalia, clipboards, glasses, bags, headsets, Grizzly bombs. And
Typically what you'd associate
and
with
a Grizzly
Grizzlies.
belt with bombs attached. And apparently those big, huge thermal detonator things are the bombs that supposedly Finn has, where there's some sort of big action
Shit is
sequence.
going down in the 100 Acre Wood.
Yep, there was 10 firemen were needed for the shoot. And instead of in previous, Star Wars films, they use stuff like Young Original Warrior for like character names without actually giving away the character name.
Yeah.
Now they just use numbers.
Nice.
So apparently there was cast member 4
Numbers that are on
and-
like the call sheet.
yeah. So there was someone that was the double for member 4, who was 5 feet 10 inches, which is about Finn's height. And then someone that Sing Pen Lee is cast member 7 stand-in, who we assume is Kelly Marie Tran. But apparently there's part of some kind
Racism.
of boarding party on a First Order ship with some major weaponry, and there's a huge battle that goes down.
Sing Pen Lee, huh?
Yep.
Pretty racist.
Yes, you are.
No.
No.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Good. Wait. Checking. Yes. Racist.
Jennifer Lee.
What are you talking
Jennifer
about?
Lee.
What are you smoking?
There's something about
Oh,
Jennifer
that's her.
Lee
That's her
down here.
actual stunt double.
Yeah.
Or her other character double. So just the
Mark
fact-
Slaughter.
now all of this is like super uninteresting, and it's just like a random weird shot. But just the fact that so far,
Mark Slaughter. Freddie Andrews.
you're just making up names now.
No, it's in your notes.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't read my notes.
I'm reading super far ahead
So
because
the
this is all
fact-
really boring.
So the fact I read all this and we go over this to say all we've really talked about and all we've had rumors about are Rey's story with Luke and Kylo Ren.
Which is probably like the first 20 minutes or something. I don't know.
Hopefully-
Maybe it's
hopefully that
spread
doesn't
out.
resolve in the first 20 minutes. There's not going to be much of a movie.
Oh, Kylo's dead. Moving
you're
on.
a Jedi. We win.
Moving on.
But just the fact that we haven't talked about really Finn at all, or his recovery, or
Wow.
what the plan was.
Or what he
for
does.
Finn.
What's his job now?
So it sounds like he sticks with the Resistance, which is good. He
Yeah.
doesn't like go off on some kind of
Vision quest.
vision quest to, I don't know, find his parents or anything.
Find his black parents.
You're just racist today.
That's not racist. Is it?
Why they gotta be black? I mean, wait.
I don't know. I assume.
Maybe he's just space burnt.
No, that's
racist.
racism.
There we go.
I don't want to be racist.
But just the
Boring. This is boring.
anyways,
Can we
the fact
move
that
on?
we haven't talked about Finn at all. So I just wanted to think about, okay, so apparently back to heals all, even slices across the spine. That's super good. And we had some rumors of him being on some big monster beast thing with Kelly Marie Tran. If you remember back to those, remember those pictures of that big lumbering beast thing that was like a giant cat?
Oh yeah, with the really long legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, the rumor was that he and Kelly Marie Tran were also riding that. Some kind of Macy's parade happening on Corellia. I don't know what that was about.
Weird.
But so what is Finn?
Is that like the new Chewbacca? This giant, 12-foot tall.
Not even that. It was like 5 stories tall, wasn't it?
Was it?
What
Was
is,
it that
giant?
big?
I thought it was like stories tall, like 3. I thought I remember it being really big.
That would be super hokey.
Religion. So what is? So I guess we've always, the point of the films is to get through the whole Jedi story and the Force story, and
Yeah, just get it over
Rey
with. Get
and
through it.
Kylo and the Skywalkers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But obviously new characters were introduced like Finn, and apparently he's going to be healed to perfection through a bubble suit, through a bubble boy sequence.
So convenient.
Bacta does everything. Even heals broken bones, which is
Does it? Yeah, it does.
Yep. People in one of the books, somebody got a Bacta shot and fixed their broken bones. And so I guess Finn starts going on resistance missions, boarding First Order ships, and just, I don't know, does he become like some kind of part of some kind of, I don't know, like SWAT group for the resistance?
What? Finn?
I don't know. What are your thoughts? What do you think Finn
does?
Yeah.
I think he's going to
Where
have
does
an
he end up?
identity crisis. Haven't we talked about this before? Where he's accomplished his mission,
Yes.
and he's going to wonder, well, I can't go back to the resistance. All my friends were there. They're probably all dead at this point because I killed them all. Shoved a lightsaber through their bellies in that one fight.
Well,
And he's probably not really needed in the resistance
But
anymore.
apparently he's doing stuff for them.
But I mean,
he had to have been trained.
Rey found Luke.
Even though he was all scaredy cat about doing anything for the stormtroopers because he felt bad, he definitely would have been trained, like fully trained to be a
Fighter, sure.
I mean, even though he cleaned the toilets on Starkiller.
Yeah, I don't know. Originally,
How trained is he other than just being a ground, just shoot around and hit something troop?
well, he's a stormtrooper. He has to be trained, like you're saying, to some degree.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I always thought he would have this identity crisis where, Luke is found, Starkiller base is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
He can't really offer them very much insight into the First Order because he didn't really have a huge role
Yeah.
in the First Order. So, what does he do now? What's he good
So
for?
does he just get thrown on? Okay, you're part of this squad. Just go do battle things with them.
Or that. I mean, that even seems like too much.
Oh, you clean toilets. We got a job for you. So
Guess
we've
what?
had this
It's
base for a
toilets.
while now, but we never had anyone to clean the toilets. You've got 3 years of work to do, buddy.
Oh, jeez.
Here's the bucket and a sponge.
That's a lot of pooping. 3 years of poops.
Well,
Yeah, so I don't know if he really has a purpose at this point.
I mean,
Maybe he finds his
he's going
girl
to
and
have
is
to
like,
because obviously they brought in John Boyega for a reason, and he's going to continue being in the
yeah,
films.
I'm sure he has a purpose in the story. I'm just
I just
saying
can't
him as a
figure out-
character.
Yes, but
he
I just
doesn't
can't figure
know.
out where to place him yet.
Right.
Into how does he matter anymore?
Yeah.
I want him to because John Boyega's freaking fantastic.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's him
I
as
just can't figure out what.
Finn, the character, is gonna not know what to do or not really have a purpose.
I know, but I want to figure it out now. We've got a whole year to figure this out.
No, we're not figuring anything out. We're just gonna accept that we don't know.
You
And
do not
cancel
sound
the
like any Star
podcast.
Wars fan I have ever heard.
I don't know what else I mean, we don't know anything.
I don't know. I just thought it was nice to have a rumor that wasn't about Rey and the Force and Luke and Kylo to be
Yes.
like, hey, there's something else that's definitely happening in this movie. Remember, guys? Remember all these other things that were going on?
There's a lot of stuff that
There's a lot of stuff that's going to happen. I just thought it was nice to have something about Finn and that he's actually doing something, and it's not like he like wakes up at the end of episode 8. He's like, oh, I got to do something. It's just out the whole time. Every once in a while, there's just a cut to him just laying on the table still in the same room. People walking by him. There's like someone just like has a clipboard on his chest, like doing work. He's still asleep. There's no.
Or
no
it's
point.
like in the second Matrix movie where he like wakes up and then he has like acupuncture. And then he goes back to sleep. And he wakes up and somebody's like making out over him or something. I don't know. Didn't that
People
happen?
making out on top of him.
Did that happen in the Matrix? Remember when they found Neo?
I remember he was naked in a tub covered with
No, what? That was the
wires.
first one.
Yeah.
Why am I thinking it was the second one?
Yeah, it's the first one.
Because it was on the
He took a pill.
Nebuchadnezzar. No, it's when they got him out of the Matrix. Remember, they sat him on that table and his muscles were atrophied, so they had to like zap him back to life.
I don't think anyone made out on him.
And he was like fading in and out, like what's gonna
making Keanu Reeves noises. Whoa, dude, what's going? Oh, what's going? Oh,
Whoa.
dude, whoa.
I'm Neo. Whoa.
You are extra squeaky this episode.
Well, this chair is extra squeaky. It's not me.
It only squeaks when you sit in it. No one else ever sits in it, so it doesn't. If it just squeaked by itself in the corner of the room, I should probably be worried. So maybe it's
Maybe.
good that it's only squeaking when you're in it and not just by itself.
Or we just have that kind of relationship.
You in the chair?
Yeah.
Do you like jack into the chair?
Excuse me? Excuse me, sir. I don't know what you're insinuating.
I'm thinking more of like an Avatar type situation with like USB sex.
have sex
with
with
the
their-
chair.
Braids.
Yeah, with their hair, penises.
Anyway, Star
So
Wars.
we're still recording a podcast now. So like I mentioned earlier,
We're running short on time, so we gotta.
I read Life Debt.
Yes,
I finished it. It was really good.
Good.
You should read them all.
All right, let's talk about it in the next 10 minutes.
Okay. So I've mentioned bits and pieces on the podcast, and by now everyone's read the book, but this is stuff for just us to talk about. And those that don't read the books, because I know people that don't read the books, who still want information on stuff like this. So speaking of Gallius Rax, I've mentioned him before. It's the person that people think is possibly Snoke, but there's really no way to tell.
This is that new dude that's he's like the mastermind behind
Yes, he's very
that Sloane has been in contact with this whole time.
Yes.
That didn't he tell her to tell them about the fleet, the non-existent fleet,
He
or the other the other
again, if you haven't
superstar
read
destroyer?
Life Debt and you want to read Life Debt, don't listen to this. He is the one that's actually been giving the New Republic information on the Imperial movement.
Okay.
He's basically been planning everything from both sides and then working it to his will. Very
Okay.
Palpatine-esque, very
Right.
very in control of everything.
Right.
So, just talking of him real quick. So, he, as a child, snuck onto a ship on Jakku. It was Advisor Tashu's ship.
Yes, I remember that.
on Jakku,
I
and
remember
they
us
were
talking
drilling
about
for
that, yeah.
something.
Mhm.
So, at one point, Ray Sloane finds a picture of this. It looks like an Imperial docking bay. In the background is a Lambda-class shuttle. At the margins of the hollow picture are white stormtroopers and a pair of red-armored Imperial guardsmen. And in the middle of the photo are Wolf Yularen, Dodd Rancid, Terranold Screed, and 3 others who are Grand Vizier Masameta, Emperor Palpatine, and a boy. Or a boy on the cusp of being a young man. So he was like maybe teens at this point. Dirt. He looked like a dirt-covered kid with an ill-fitting academy uniform. His hair is dark, his skin is pale, and the eyes, though, each a black hole swallowing the light. One thing stands out. One of the boy's hands is facing outward, and Sloane sees something across his palm, a mark of some kind, a tattoo, or a brand.
Weird.
So
That's a
Rax-
picture of Gallius,
Rax
right?
was Gallius Rex. Yes, he was part of an acolyte, like camp or people that lived on Jakku, and so there's kind of going back from things in his past, and this is Emperor Palpatine talking to a young Rex. So this is when he like first found him after he got off of Tashu's ship, and so the Emperor says, I have your first task, young Galley. Apparently he went by Galley. You will go back to Jakku. The spot there in the dirt where my droids were operating is precious, not just to me but to the galaxy at large. He sweeps his decrepit hand as if to the greater universe. It is significant. It was significant 1,000 years ago, and it will be significant again. You will go back there, and you will monitor my droids excavating the ground. Then I will send more droids, and they will build something there below the ground. I want you to guard this space. Can you do that? And Rax said, guard it, I'm just a boy. Yes, but a resourceful boy, I wager. I am resourceful. He doesn't know if that's true, but what good is it saying the opposite? I will guard it. Good. Keep others away. Do not let them taint this. Lead them astray. Kill them if you must. And then, and he said, the better question is, will you do that? He said, I will. He said, then we may have a future together. For now, you go back. Go home. We will meet again one day. And he said, thank you. I don't know your name. And he said, we could be on a first-name basis, you and I. Galley, my name is Sheev. We will be friends. An emperor must have friends, after all.
Nice.
So he sends Rax back as a young person to guard Jakku.
Something on
Whatever
Jakku.
is happening on Jakku, and that's not explained yet.
Right.
Of course, supposedly
Super
at
weird.
the end of this trilogy is the ship that crashes on Jakku, the large Star Destroyer that crashes on Jakku.
Yeah.
Is part of. There's a battle over Jakku at the end of the Aftermath books.
But
Supposedly.
yeah, that's the
So hopefully, obviously,
That's the
we'll find
battle.
out. There's something on Jakku, something the Emperor's after, something he's building, and something that needs protecting.
Well, the only thing we know so far about that is that it's a weapons facility, because that's where we found out from Battlefront that there was a battle over Jakku and blah blah blah. And that's part of the canon now.
So
right?
there's one point where Rax is talking about Jakku, and Hux is talking to him because they have Hux, and a little bit on him in a minute. And Hux is like, "Why Jakku?" And he said, "Jakku's a wasteland. It has no strategic value to us, no resources, no populace to enslave." And Rax says, "It will be our proving ground. We will test ourselves on Jakku, and we will do so far from the eyes of the galaxy, far from the eyes of Mon Mothma and her sycophants. And when the time is right, when we have wedded ourselves to a vicious point, we will strike once again. The Senate is injured. The Republic is wounded. We will go in for the kill, but it is too soon, and we are too weak." Yeah, and then because he's having a meeting with all of his main people, and he said he's thinking to himself, he's like, this is fine. I only need them for so long. All of them but Hux. Hux will be necessary.
Huh. Yeah, Jakku.
So there's some big deal with Jakku.
The other thing that we know about Jakku is that it was the Empire's last stand. Basically, they focused everything that they had on this battle at Jakku, and they ultimately lost.
Yeah,
we know that much.
We don't know Hux, and at near the beginning of the book, Rax sent Sloane to save Hux, and the kind of a description. The first description of Hux once they have him back is
Back from where?
He was trapped at the Arcanist Academy during a battle, and so she went to go pick him up,
All right.
so that he made it because Rax said he was important.
Okay.
So let me see.
Is it Rax or Ray?
Rax was saying, we need Hux. She's like, why Hux? And
Is it Rax or Ray? Gallius Ray or Gallius Rax?
Sorry, that's a typo. So apparently Hux has a child, a bastard, not born of his wife, but of a kitchen woman, Rax says. She said, don't worry about the mother or the wife, but a child is a child and blood is blood, so make sure the boy finds rescue as well. It is wise to devote resources to rescue his boy, says Ray. The Empire must be fertile and young. Children are crucial to our success. Many of our officers are old. We need that kind of vitality, the brand of energy you get with the young. The Empire needs children.
Wow.
So he says Hux is important. They need children.
What about
and
Hux's
I'm
cat?
assuming Hux is important because of the fact that he ran the academy on
Yeah, and
Arcanus. I almost said Arrakis, but that's a total different sci-fi story.
the description of Hux in Bloodlines was very Like he was a very intelligent guy. He led the academy. He had a lot of experience. Blah blah blah.
But I thought this was this was Ray talking about Hux, and she was saying, he was the once commandant of the Arcanus Academy, and her description of him is Hux is a big, blustering, ego-fed pig, gone a bit to pasture. That one. His gut strains at his buttons. His neck is fat, and his firm jaw has gone soft with an upshorn patchwork of facial hair. He looks haggard, lost, angry. Occasionally, he seems to remember that this is a dinner, then dives down into his meal with sudden gusto, shoveling food into his mouth once more. That's definitely not the Hux we've seen.
The Hux we've seen is super strict, super probably back to his academy days.
Back to not being a fat dude, not having a gut at all, being like basically the Hitler of the First Order.
Yeah,
especially with that speech. So it's very interesting where things are and how they've changed with what we've seen so far.
right.
So there, and again, just talking of just kind of the things that I make note on are really the things that affect, to me, the Star Wars canon as a whole. Okay, so Jakku's obviously important. There's something there. Rax has been with the Emperor since he was a child, back when the Emperor just got started.
Yeah,
So he's a new character that's main to the Emperor's story and to something at large with Star Wars.
Rax you're talking about, right?
Gallius Rax, yeah.
Yep.
And I find that's super interesting. And obviously we don't know what's going on Jakku yet. And at the near the end of the book, Advisor Tashu's actually saved from a prison, and this person that saved him was saying, Rax has this plan. Tashu says, I only serve Palpatine.
Yeah.
And this guy says, Emperor Rax serves Palpatine too. And he said, yes, it makes sense. It's part of a plan.
Emperor Rax?
Yeah, he started calling himself Emperor Rex.
Really?
By the end of the book, yes.
Huh.
And so he was saying that Emperor Rex serves Palpatine too. It's part of a plan I couldn't see. Sidious always had a plan. So supposedly Rex may still be enacting some sort of backup plan that Sidious had,
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
which is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So the whole Imperial story gets super interesting, and I'm really excited to see where that goes.
Yeah.
A couple other little backstory things that's specific. I don't know if this matters at all, but there is at one point there's a prison called Ashmead's Lock, which is actually a prison that's built from an old Republic ship.
Huh.
It's a prison ship that's crashed on Kashyyyk. And apparently he said it's being described as it's a ship run by a rogue. It was a ship run by a rogue empire, an enemy of the Republic called the Pridori. Whoever they were, they're gone now. It was just a real quick, just like flippant thing of there was this ship that was from an enemy of the old Republic called the Pridori.
Huh. Weird.
So that's something new. I don't remember ever hearing about the Pridori at all.
Yeah.
But apparently it's an old Republic enemy.
Huh.
So I'm very interested to see if that matters at all. If
Wonder if that'll show up
old
in
canon, like old Republic,
You think that'll show up in the
villains?
new Old Republic game?
what do Pridori look like?
Yeah.
Do they look like a Snoke? I mean,
Well, yeah, I don't know about that.
that's a bit far to go, but it's just interesting. I mean, there's
You think Pridori will show up in the new Old Republic game
that could be interesting. If they did that.
expansion?
Um,
Or maybe they're in the game at all?
Yeah.
I don't know.
of course, the name of the book, Life Debt, is a play on the fact that Han and Chewie have a life debt.
Right.
I was hoping there would be some explanation or any hint as to Han and Chewie's relationship and the life debt, and there wasn't, other than Han talking about a few things, saying, I saved him, at least that's what he says, the big fuzzy fool, but really he saved me. I was on a bad path, and Chewie, he put me straight, saved my shanks more than once too. He said it was part of some life debt. He has a word for it, but if I try to say it in his tongue, I'll probably strain something. Even if I can't say it, I know what it means, and it means that he owes his life to me. So all we know about Han and Chewie story is that he was on a bad path. And at one point, he's just saying, sometimes Chewie goes one way and Han goes another, but they always meet on the other side of things. And at the end of every day, what needs to get done gets damn well gets done. They're partners and have been for most of the life that Han can or cares to remember about. So we don't have it. We didn't get any hint into what Han was prior.
Right. Why is it called Life Debt then?
Because they're trying to save Chewie the whole time. That's like the mission turns into trying to save Chewie and Chewie's planet, Kashyyyk.
Okay.
So all we have on Han is that he was on a bad path. Whether that means he still had the Imperial thing going on, I don't know. They're probably saving that for the film, obviously, I would assume.
I like the Mr. Bones.
Yeah, I'll get to Mr. Bones is the best character in all of Star Wars. He is my new favorite thing. There are more mention of the Acolytes of the Beyond. They, again, finding a red-bladed lightsaber.
A different one this time?
I'm
Or
assuming
is
the
this
other
the same one that was
wasn't
mentioned in
Vader's,
the
'cause
little-
in the first one, they purchased a lightsaber.
Yeah, in one of the little cutscenes, right?
Yeah, they purchased a lightsaber, and they were promised it was Vader's. But in this, they find a lightsaber, and a red-bladed lightsaber, and they said, this is the blade, that's the blade we've been looking for. And they give the Acolyte gives an overeager nod to the person saying that.
Huh,
And
weird.
then they rescue it from like this prison, from this like it's almost a police station. It's like the lockup where they keep the evidence locker.
Okay.
They break it out of there, and they beat the crap out of this dude and like chop off one of his hands or whatever. And instead of killing him, she bends down and whispers in his ear, "Vader lives, and so do you. Tell everyone the Acolytes are coming."
Huh.
So
Vader
there's-
lives.
So there's still more of this Acolytes thing, and apparently they definitely found his saber this time.
Interesting.
So I don't know what that means. Just really super interesting to think about.
Yeah.
And then just little tidbits. So they made they commissioned brand new New Republic ships made from the metal of the Death Star that was destroyed, which is awesome.
Nice.
Throwing it in their face. Wedge is the one that names Snap Wexley. He gave him that
Okay.
nickname because he likes to
Interesting.
snap his fingers a lot, like his dad. Let's see. Mr. Bones at one point. Okay, Mr. Bones is my favorite thing and has all of the best lines, and I really wish they would make an action figure of him so I can have it. Because at one point, the first time they find Han leaves. Mr. Bones was left outside because they wouldn't let him in because he's horrifying looking because he's covered in bones, and Timmons actually made his chest plate look like ribs now, like he's cut it to make it sharp, and it's just like open with like sharp metal.
Wow.
He's super awesome. But so Han like causes a scene and like runs out to try to get away from them, and they run outside. They hear like a yell from outside, and they all run outside and find Mr. Bones standing astride the smuggler's supine form. And he says, "I subdued the target with violence." And then he said, "Mission accomplished, victory for all."
Jeez. This other section is really good.
And then at
too.
one point, Mr. Bones is like sitting. They're waiting outside. They were like left outside to guard the door to the prison ship while they were inside trying to get Chewie
Okay.
and some other people rescued.
Right.
And Mr. Bones like has like his little. He has vibro blades, and he was just like shooting them out, like cutting blades of grass and bugs and things. And Timon's like, "What are you doing?" And Mr. Bones says, "Cutting things." "Why?" "I enjoy it." And he shrugs. "Fair enough. The droid is weird. He knows that. He programmed Bones to be functional, but also independent in his own way. Problem is, Timon isn't really sophisticated enough to know exactly what he did when creating his bodyguard's personality matrix. So what he got was this. Whatever. It's not that important. What matters is they haven't come out yet. This is a true statement, Master Timon. They should have come out." The droid suddenly stands as if eager. "Yes," which means they might be in danger. "I enjoy danger, Master Timon." And then his head tilts back and forth on its axis with little whirs and ticks, and his jagged teeth gleam in the half
His
light.
teeth?
Yeah, he's like cut up his like everything to make him look like a skeleton, basically.
Weird.
He said, "If they're not coming out, we will have to go in. Will there be violence? If they're in danger," Bones' fingers tickle the air, "then let us hope they are in danger so that I may perform egregious violence."
Oh gosh. That's great.
And then, so in the prison ship, they find Timon's dad, Nora's husband, Timon's dad. They actually find him.
Oh, really?
He's been in prison, like in cryo, basically, on this prison
Huh.
ship. And they find him. And then, so Timon and his dad, like, he comes out and he's like, "Dad," and he's like, "Timon," and they like go to embrace. And Mr. Bones like, "Master Timon's father." And then he interjects himself between the two. He reaches out with both of his claw arms and mashes the father and son together, bonking their heads. "This precious moment must be sealed by a hug, a loving yet violent entanglement of bodies wherein one person grabs another with great force and squeezes, but not so hard that their eyes rupture from their bones." Timon says, "Shh, Roger, Roger."
That's great.
Bones is my favorite character in all of Star Wars now.
Yeah.
He is hilarious. And there's other stuff I didn't take note of while like they're having a conversation, and it describes Bones as dancing in the background, like frolicking in the background, like he's just dancing around a hangar at one point while they're just having a conversation about something, because
That's great.
he's insane.
Yeah, he sounds amazing.
Mr. Bones is my favorite character, and I just want a Mr. Bones cartoon. Just Mr. Bones cartoon shorts would be great. If someone could make those, that would be fantastic.
That would be great. Wow.
And I mean, like they put out that piece of art of what Mr. Bones would look like if he existed.
Oh, really?
A
didn't
while
see
back. Back when the book, like before the book came out, I think, or right after it came out.
Oh, okay.
And he looks awesome. I mean, he's a battle droid, which usually look kind of stupid, I think.
Right.
But he's amazing because he has vibro blades that come out of both of his arms, and his fingers have been sharpened into claws, and now he has like a rib cage, and so Mr.
So
Bones,
apparently there's a Sega Saturn game called Mr. Bones. And
just a
there's
weird happy skeleton on the front.
playing a guitar on the cover.
It's close enough.
I think I'll save that one.
Yes. So if you read any of the Aftermath books for any reason, just search the words Mr. Bones or Bones and just read his lines through the book, and that alone is worth reading the books because he is hilarious.
All right, yeah, I've got up the picture of him here. That's pretty great.
Yeah, so I highly recommend Life Debt. I super enjoyed it. I enjoyed the first one. I thought this one was even better.
Nice.
All
right.
And it's all, if you didn't like the interludes from the first Aftermath book, like the little in-between chapter little interludes, you're like, what does this have to do with anything?
Right.
Almost every single one of those is referenced in a bigger part in this book, and there are less interludes.
Huh.
So all of those little introductions of interludes were for a reason, because characters that were mentioned or things that were introduced are now a main part of the story. So
okay.
they were for a reason, and there are less interludes. It was more just setting the universe and the world and the scenes for the upcoming books, and it definitely, I thought, paid off.
Nice.
So
yeah, I do want to read it eventually.
I mean, just the stuff with Rax and the stuff about Palpatine and whatever's going on Jakku, there's something very canonically significant going on, especially with the fact that Rax has known Palpatine since he was a child, since Rax was a child.
That's very
So
interesting.
there's this character that we don't know that has been involved with Palpatine, like, through all of the time that we knew about Palpatine.
Right.
Who knows how long. I don't know if he would have been around during episode 3 or if it was after the fact, because I don't think Vader may not have existed yet, because Vader wasn't in any of those pictures or anything. So it could have been even earlier Emperor. So we may have seen stuff with the Emperor with Rax having been around or doing whatever his job was on Jakku at that point.
Well, didn't we see that he... No, it was Tashu. Tashu showed up at Jakku with those droids.
At the very beginning of the book, it opens...
Right, but that they were saying that was before the Clone Wars, basically.
Yeah,
right?
it was like 30 years ago.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you're right. I think the boy...
So whatever was
so
happening
Rax
with
was
Jakku
around
and Rax was happening
either
in
during the
between
Clone
or around
Wars,
Clone Wars and,
or right after.
And Revenge of the Sith.
Very interesting.
Yeah, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith.
So he's been around this whole time.
There's a character in some other subplot that Palpatine was enacting during all the stuff that we know about.
So he's been there this whole time on Jakku guarding this place.
Probably. It sounds like
I
that.
would
We don't
imagine.
have, they didn't tell us what he went back and did, but
Right.
Palpatine was working on something else that has yet to have paid off in anything that we've seen,
Interesting.
which is very interesting because
Yeah.
Palpatine always had a lot of stuff in
Hidden.
the works.
Yeah.
And apparently it seems like whatever Rax is still doing was still part of some plan that Palpatine had put in place for him to do.
Right.
So that part alone to me is interesting because it really affects stuff that we've already seen and stuff that we know
Yeah.
to a greater degree.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I say read it. Now I just need to work on reading Ahsoka.
Right. Maybe. I'll probably skip that one.
I'll read it. It's supposedly it's only a junior novel. It's not like a full novel. It's
Oh,
shorter.
yes. 10 pages instead of 100.
Yes, it's a flip book.
It's a close one.
Yeah. Anyways, I am out of talking words.
So you can find us on the internet at Hokey_religion on Twitter. Tweet
Yeah.
us there.
You can find us just at hokeyreligion.com.
Yep. You can go there to listen to all the episodes, find all the various places that we exist, things like YouTube and Facebook and Tumblr and all the crap that you
Anything.
set up.
If you enjoy us and want to support Michael getting a squeakless chair, go to patreon.com/HokeyReligion to support the show if you feel like it.
Send us $1. $1 every month.
Or just $1 one time. That's, it goes in the chair fund.
We'd prefer the latter. I mean the former.
How does that work?
Every month.
I'm always confused.
What else? Give us a review on iTunes.
Yeah, shoot us questions, comments.
Yeah, nobody ever emails us.
Fiction. I don't know. Send us
No.
/fic
No.
to
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. No, I don't want to read that.
You can email us at
HokeyReligion
contact@hokeyreligion.com.
or
Ask Lobot at hokeyreligion.com.
that one too.
Yes. We prefer that one because it's more funner to type.
What?
Ask Lobot.
Ask Lobot?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It looks better.
Snoke is Lobot. Right.
Yes. Did we mention that? We only tweeted that.
Yeah.
So,
Snoke is Lobot.
yeah, Lobot's bald, Snoke's bald. It all plays out. Just accept it.
So Snoke is Lobot.
Yes. Well, Lobot is Snoke.
All right, that's been Hokey Religion for this week.
Yeah, I'm Tyler.
I'm Michael.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hokey religion is an ancient weapon. Hokey religion is an ancient weapon, so no match for a good blaster at your side.